Come on down, step right in. Carole's Kitchen, where we begin. See what's cooking, something new. Plant-based power just for you. Delicious meals on every plate. Healthy choices feeling great. Inspiration in every dish. Taste the magic, it's our wish. Power to the plants we sing. Health for you, it's everything. Cooking up a storm and then Carole's Kitchen, love and care. Education one bite at a time, nourishing the heart and mind. Join the journey, let's unite. Pure plant power feels so right. Power to the plants we sing. Health for you, it's everything. Cooking up a storm and then Carole's Kitchen, love and care.
Hi, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Cooking with Chef Carole, sponsored by Plant Powered Metro New York. Right off the bat, what'd you think of our new theme song? It's actually not that new. We tried it out a couple sessions ago, but let us know how you feel about it in the chat. I personally love it. So again, welcome, and welcome to the people from the Marlene Meyerson JCC Manhattan, who are co-sponsors of our show today. Plant-powered Metro New York empowers people to achieve better health and overcome chronic disease through a whole food, plant-based approach to nutrition. We offer evidence-based education, resources, and a grassroots network of support to create community and inspire change. Together as leaders, organizers, and educators, we raise awareness about the dramatic health benefits of whole food plant-based nutrition, empower individuals to make their own lifestyle adjustments, and lead projects that spark change in food policy, practice, and food culture. And lately, with the weather turning warmer and with just the way it seems the world is going, we've been doing a lot more in-person things. So I will mention a couple of in-person events happening in New York. And for those of you who are tuning in from places outside of New York, we will have a online virtual offerings for the summer as well coming up soon. So right off the bat, for today's show, we're doing Carole off the cuff, which means that there are no recipes today. So if you'd like, this is a good time to grab a pencil or pen and a piece of paper and take notes as we go along, because Carole will be doing what she does every single day, just using everyday ingredients from her refrigerator or pantry or things just she happens to have in the house. So it's June, and at least here in New York, the farmers markets are just bursting with so many fruits and vegetables that it's impossible to list. But we will always encourage you to buy and eat organic, and more important, to eat regenerative food, because the soil does make a difference. Next level quality, organic, and then of course conventional is better than processed. So eat your fruits and vegetables. So upcoming events right off the top here in Plant Powered Metro. I've got to get my glasses on. As mentioned, we have a fairly new initiative. It's been going on for a little while, probably a year now, called Plant Powered Plates in restaurants. And we've been going to several New York City restaurants and giving them our criteria and seeing if they either will have dishes on their menu that they can offer, or encourage them to be able to make adjustments. And so people can go to the restaurants and order a plant-powered plate and feel like they're compliant with a lot of the way we eat and educate. So there's an event coming up June 29th at Candle Cafe on 3rd Avenue called Flavors from Dora's Table. This will be an evening of incredible food from Chef Dora Ramirez, featuring Mexican dishes. And I do want to direct your attention after the show to our brand new website. And the description of this event on the website is just mouthwatering. So check it out. But much more important, do check out the new Plant Powered Metro New York website. It is really a treat. And then another in-person event, Grab and Go Soiree in Prospect Park. This one's in Brooklyn. And we'll meet at a place called Electric Beats. And they're going to prepare a picnic bag for all of us. And then we'll be able to walk to Prospect Park and all have a picnic together. So do look up those two if you're in the New York area. One's in Manhattan, one's in Brooklyn, and please join us for our meetups. And those people not in Manhattan, as mentioned, we have summer events coming up. One is going to be Better Health for Dogs, and then the first of our Heart to Healthy Heart series, which is a 3-part series. So that'll be coming up very, very soon. And of course, Chef Carole will be back on July 13th. And again, check out the website. So again, get pencil and paper, get ready. This is a note-taking class, and let us know where you're from in the chat. Ask questions in the chat. Carole and I usually allow time during the demo, but also at the end for questions. And if you're enjoying this presentation, please press like on Facebook or YouTube or even LinkedIn if you're watching from there. Okay, there's a lot of announcements. Carole, what are we doing today? What's in your fridge?
I feel like you covered so much already. I can't believe it. And we are doing Off the Cuff, our first Off the Cuff series. I hope everyone is going to like it. It is basically a show that we have no typed recipes. We have nothing. We honestly could make up the whole menu. I have sketched out and made myself a few notes here on the counter, just so I don't forget what I want to say and what I want to do. But basically, we're really improvising, and I've tried to bring a lot of the things out of my refrigerator that I have, but I don't have everything out of the refrigerator. So there might be a time when I have to run because I have a new idea, or I have to run to the pantry, because normally you see everything's all prepped out. Today, nothing is prepped out. We just basically have ingredients. And we are going to start with, I wanted to start with hydration and how important hydration is, because I know that it's very, very hot in New York, and I know that it's very hot in a lot of other places. And it's just so important, whether it's hot or not hot, is to drink water and to drink cold liquids. It's important so that you feel refreshed. So I thought I would just start a drink that I love so much, and it's something that I do all the time. And I get an ice cube tray. This one happens to be a very deep one. Their ice cubes are, I don't know, probably maybe 1.5 by 1.5 inches. They're big ones, big chunky ones. You'll see when I pop it out that it basically fits into this glass. Do you see how big that is? And do you see that that's not a normal ice cube, because it's purple? And why is it purple? Well, one, it just barely fits in this glass. You can see that. But I love taking any kind of fruit. It could be any kind of fruit. This particular fruit that is in here right now is frozen fruit. You could use fresh fruit. You could use peaches. You could put cucumbers. You could put, but I have cherries, and I have a big bag of frozen cherry, boysen, I think they're blackberries and raspberries. So I basically put a few pieces of fruit into every little thing, fill it with water, and in it goes into the freezer. And that allows me to always have some very flavorful ice cube that slowly melts. You could do it with smaller cubes, but I like the big cubes because it's kind of a slow melt. So I'm going to put these right back into the freezer. And then I always have some kind of nice tea, tea without sugar, tea without caffeinated. Usually it's hibiscus tea, which is a red tea, which makes the spritzer look very pretty, because you'll have this very colorful ice cube with the red. And then I put a little bubbly water in it. And my bubbly water comes from a soda stream, but some of you maybe buy just bubbly water right from a bottle or from a can. But it kind of, the reason I want the bubbly water in the tea is because it kind of makes like a little kind of mocktail, and it's fun. So today I don't have any hibiscus tea. I'm totally out. So I made a rose tea. It's very flavorful in the flower sense because it's rose, and it's a brown tea, but it has no caffeine in it, and has a very lovely flavor. So again, you could use hibiscus, you could use a peach tea, a fruit tea, any kind of tea you want. I would just stay away from the caffeine. So if you're drinking a lot of water, a lot of little cocktail, you're not loading up on the caffeine. So I usually pour like a half a cup of tea, and then I use the bubbly water and I just fill that up. And then if you want to make it very festive, you could have just a few sprigs of mint just to set off onto the side. You could also put lemon in it, or a slice of lime, whatever you want. So the idea here is some bubbly water, some flavorful tea that's decaffeinated, and a really pretty ice cube. And that's your cocktail right here. And here's to a really good summer. Wendy, what do you think of that?
I think it's brilliant. Cheers. I wish I had some right now here in New York City. I'm missing the Spritz water, but
it's
I
really fun to have a cocktail, you know, and it's fun to have bubbles, and it's fun to have bubbles that are like flavorful and fruity. And then at the very end, like once you finish your drink, slowly but surely the ice cube has melted, and then you get your fruit surprise at the bottom. I have cherries and blackberry, boysenberries or blackberries, some whatever the berry mix is. So it's always a little fun at the bottom of the glass.
I love it.
So that is our beginning of our impromptu. How do we do things? It is this middle of the summer, and I think you mentioned that, Wendy, that it's starting, you know, the farmers market, how important it is, and that we love to cook seasonally. And I did send a number of photos. I have to just tell you that here in New Mexico, we have a very short season. I would say that anybody in the rest of the country is probably 2 months ahead of us planting and what you're eating and growing. In my mind, for me, it's just spring. We're just having radishes and the new carrots that are coming out of the ground, and the snap peas and the sugar peas, and all of that is maybe been a month or two ago for a lot of you. But in New Mexico here, we had snow on May 6th, and we could have snow throughout May. And so we don't even plant anything until the end of May, the beginning of June. And Jim just quickly flipped through, and maybe, Jim, we could just bring it back for a second so I could just kind of show that I'm growing lettuce in these big pots this year. I have a nice little herb garden going. And then we have other things that I have garlic, and I have lots of yellow onions growing, and I have a whole box of just leafy greens. And so these are things that are eventually going to get eaten very quickly, and hopefully maybe even get to store some of these things at the end of the summer. Tomatoes are growing, and it's important to eat what is in season, because why? You're going to get the most flavorful food when you're eating in season. So it's kind of an exciting time of year, because we have an abundance of things. All year round we have seasonal foods in the winter, but it's much more slimmer pickings in the winter. And now we're starting to be in that time of abundance where you just want everything that is juicy and fresh and beautiful. And it's hard to I don't know. It's exciting time for me, at least. And if you're a shopper of a farmer's market or just buying your groceries in the produce store, it's a very it's an exciting time. So I thought that we would start. I emptied my refrigerator, not totally. I have zucchinis, cucumbers out. I have the scallions that these are from the garden here. They're exceptionally tall. I bought 2 two bunches of celery. I don't know what got into me. I forgot that I had one, so now I have two. So we have to use the celery today because one of them is starting to get brown dots on the outside. So we have to use that. It's important that you go through your refrigerator once a week, especially you just choose a day. Maybe it's the day that you shop and you just evaluate what you have at the beginning of before you go shopping, and you take out all the things that need to get used right away, and then make your list of basic things. And what are basic things means you need some leafy greens, obviously, and there's an endless list of leafy greens, but it doesn't just include lettuce. It's kale and chard and several kinds of several kinds. You can have also some cauliflower or some broccoli, and you can have some. I have little pea sprouts that I got. You also want to have some fresh herbs. What does that mean? You want to have maybe some parsley, some cilantro, maybe some basil, maybe all of them. Today, I think I have all of them. I have dill growing in the garden. So it sounds like a lot, right? But my point is, and it's really, I can't think of somebody that does this better than I do. Actually, Wendy does a great job at all this, is really shopping well. It is the foundation of setting yourself up to just have things ready to go. and and that shopping is really important, and making that list. And my husband used to say, I'll round up the usual suspects and you get the specialty stuff. And what did that mean? Round up. Well, the round up the usual suspects means you need the potatoes, you need the celery, you need all the basic things. And when you have those basic things, then you just add some of the specialty things to it. Like radicchio is a specialty thing, or you buy some special kind of maybe a melon or some kind of special something, a special kind of squash. But there are some basic things, and those are things that you should always have. And I thought we need to start cooking, otherwise we'll never get done. But I thought we would start with just making a spread. And a spread meaning, I think a lot of us rely on hummus, and hummus is a great thing to rely on. If you make it, I think it's even better that you make it. One, because you know exactly what's going into it. But if you're someone that just doesn't have time to make it, then try to look for there is a couple brands. I don't have them off the top of my head because I don't buy hummus, but there are a few brands that are very low in salt and have no oil, actually. And I know they are accessible. So, but what is really great about making it is that you then know what is in your bean dip. Now, bean dip can be made doesn't have to be hummus. Hummus is made from chickpeas. And as you know, if you've been cooking with me for a while, that I am a bean person. I am as crazy as belonging to a bean club, and I love it so much. I eat so many beans, probably breakfast, lunch, and dinner, I feel. Sometimes I'm cooking the beans and I don't even get to put all of them away because I've eaten so many just directly out of the pot while cooking. So beans are very important for us. Why? Because they carry the most fiber. We as Americans have a sad diet and don't get enough fiber, and we get like 10 to 15 grams of fiber, and we all need 40 grams of fiber, and that's a lot. But the really great thing is a half a cup of beans does give you 7 grams of fiber, so you're on your way to achieving that 40 in a given day. So I always am cooking beans. I also often buy them in a can. So I want to just tell you that it is possible for you to buy the canned beans with no salt. And I buy them here in my town at Albertsons. They have a lot of variety of no salt beans. And literally the can be as cheap as $1.29. The fancier brands are some sometimes $3. So you're paying a bit more, but you are paying a lot less if you're actually buying the dried bean and then cooking it yourself. And what's so great about doing that is because I don't know, it's just a wonderful thing. And I have today a dark bean. It's not a black bean. It's called a Moro bean, Moro. Comes from Rancho Gordo. So people aren't likely to have that, but I usually have a dark bean and I always have a white bean. So today, rather than making hummus, which we all often do, I'm going to make something very similar, but with a white bean, because cannelli beans or Great Northern beans are absolutely perfect for this. And I'm going to tell you roughly what I'm putting in this inside, and we need to drain these beans. And I want to make sure that I save some of the juice. I use the juice of the beans, whether they're in a can or the ones that I've made fresh. I use this for many things, actually. Often I will roast vegetables in the oven. And if you're a person that, you used to use olive oil and you're wondering, how do I roast the vegetables and I don't cover them in oil? Well, I actually use some bean water, just a little bit, not a lot, but it basically puts moisture onto the vegetables. So I'll toss some broccoli, or I'll toss mushrooms, or there's many ways of giving moisture in the oven without the oil, and the bean water is one of them. You can also make a marinade. You can also squeeze an orange or a lemon or a lime. That also would give it moisture. Or you could spritz it with a little water, and that would be enough actually for roasting vegetables. We don't need to cover them with the olive oil, but I do like saving the water. So I'm going to measure out about a cup and a half. And why am I going to measure out a cup and a half of beans? Because 1 can of beans is a cup and a half, roughly. Every bean is a little bigger or smaller, so it's not an exact science. But there's nothing, unless we're baking, are we worried about being so exact. So this is a half a cup here. So I'm going to do this 3 times. And that means that if you have your own cooked beans or you're buying them out of the can, you would use 1 can basically. And I hope very much that you are doing what Wendy and I both suggested, which is writing these things down, okay? Because I think that you're going to have to just watch the show again to remember exactly how we did it, okay? Because there's going to be no walk away recipe that you have. And I'm just going to put those beans back in. And I saved the water, and look, I'm just going to put it right back in. And I don't know if we'll get to the black beans today, but I just kind of wanted to show you that I have them in these quart jars. So here is what I'm going to call 1 can of beans, or a cup and a half of, these are Great Northern beans, okay? Now, we're going to make a red pepper spread. So we need red peppers, right? And there are 2 ways of getting the red peppers. You can either make your own roasted ones, which is meaning that you're going to put them on a sheet pan with a parchment or some kind of silapat mat, and you're going to you can cut the pepper in half, or you can leave it whole, and you're going to put it in the oven at like 400 degrees, and you're going to get it so it looks all brown, almost black on the outside. And then you're going to take it out, and you're going to cover it and steam it, like put it between 2 plates or 2 bowls, and you just want to steam it, and then you're going to peel the skin. If I've said that way too fast and you don't understand what I've said about roasting a pepper, you can easily look that up. It's a very simple process. I almost always have homemade roasted peppers in the refrigerator, just because I am obsessed with the way they taste. But you can also buy a jar. Okay, so you don't have to, and I almost always have a jar in my pantry ready to go because sometimes I'm out of things and I don't have this, so I always have this. So it's good because this means that I'm ready for, I don't know, Mexican meal. It means I'm ready for making a spread. It means, I don't know, the red pepper is like really good. It means I can make a marinade, a sauce out of red peppers. So I'm not going to open this right now, but I want to tell you that I've bought fire roasted red peppers and they're actually in water. Okay, they're not in oil. You have to be careful. Just find the brand in your local grocery store and you will find exactly what you need, but make sure they're in water. Now, I have already kind of cut up my roasted red pepper and I need one whole, I think I'm going to do one whole pepper. And a whole pepper is about 4 segments. It really depends on how big it is, but I think I'm just going to choose 4 pieces out of my little jar. They're all different sizes. Do I have a whole pepper? I don't really know, but roughly I have a whole pepper. Okay, then we're going to we need some lemon juice. And I almost always have a jar of lemon juice because sometimes I'm out of lemons. It's hard to imagine, but sometimes I'm out of lemons. And I just realized I just cut this in half and I didn't zest it, which is not something I normally I take the skin off first just to have it. But I'm going to put I'm going to put this whole lemon in here. And what does that mean, a whole lemon? If it's a good lemon, it means it's at least 2 tablespoons. Okay, if it's a good juicy lemon. If it's not a good juicy lemon, then maybe you need to have another one. But how will you know if you need another one? You're going to taste it and you're going to say, I want this little dip to be a little more lemony than it is. Okay, these particular lemons that I have are Myers lemons, and I've been getting them lately, and they're so citrusy and so yummy. If you live in California, there's an abundance amount of them. People are giving them away all the time because they have so many, they don't know what to do with them. But they're such a treat that whenever I see them in the store, I always buy a bag. Now, what do I do with these? I save these and I use them to clean my copper pots. This and salt. Actually, I clean my cutting board too with them. So lemon, the old lemon that is already juiced with some salt is how I make the copper pot shiny and make them look like they're new again. We're going to need garlic. Of course, in the spread, you need garlic. Now, I want to tell you that I almost always have garlic that's minced in my refrigerator. Now, when did I make this garlic? I just made it yesterday. I took a ton of garlic and I actually, rather than chopping it, I probably put like 8 cloves into the food processor and just ground it up. And this will keep like this for several days. And I usually put some kind of cover over it because very, very potent. And now this means I'm ready to go for anything that needs garlic, whether it's a dressing, whether it's a sauce, it doesn't matter what it is, the garlic's just ready to go. So this is like, I would call almost a staple. Do you have to do that? No, but it just makes some things faster. Okay. And today, because we're not so prepped out, I thought we need to have some things cut up and having the garlic ready to go. Now, what does this mean when you have this much garlic and you don't know, is it a clove or 2 cloves? Well, 1 regular garlic, 1 clove of garlic is usually about 1 teaspoon minced. That's kind of the rule that you can go by. Is it exact? Well, it's not exact because some garlics are super, super teeny. Some are very, very large. And, you know, I actually want to show you that what I did recently, I never do this. I bought this bag here and it's organic peeled garlic. And I thought it was cheating for a moment. I thought, oh gosh, I got so frustrated with my garlic in the last few months because when I was buying it, it was so small that I just felt like I'm frustrated by the time I get the skin off, and it's just like the tiniest little garlic. So I just got frustrated one day and bought this garlic. And I didn't really know what to expect, actually. And it's so sweet. It comes in little packets like this inside. And there must have been like 6 little packets, and they're all really super sealed. So I've probably had this for a number of weeks, and I've just been taking one of these packets and grinding it up, and then I have a whole like bowl. And I'm almost to the end, but I don't know, it probably says out here how many packets are in it, but it just says 6 ounces. But I don't know. I'm just pointing it out to you, showing you that there is other choices sometimes, so that you, if you're frustrated with your fresh garlic. I'm going to use 1 teaspoon, thinking that is 1 clove of garlic. If it needs more garlic, we'll evaluate that. And then I think what we're going to do for the spices is we're going to put some cumin would be good. I took out cumin. But for sure, we're going to use some paprika. And I'm going to start with a half a teaspoon. Hopefully that's enough. I don't know if it is or not, but we're going to start there. And then we're going to add a little black pepper. Just again, we'll see how this tastes. We don't know because we're just kind of making it up as we go. I wrote myself a few notes here. And I think, and what normally goes into a spread, sometimes nutritional yeast goes into a spread. I know I'm going to talk to Jim here, telling him, because he's a Food for Life instructor, that the Physicians Committee has that recipe that I love the most called the Irresistible Bean Dip, which I love so much. And they actually put nutritional yeast in their bean dip, and I think it's fantastic. I almost always have that spread in my refrigerator because I love it so much. So this is a little bit of a variation on that with the white beans, because that irresistible bean spread, only it has nutritional yeast in it. And we need some tahini. Okay, that's going to be our fat. And we could probably do 2 tablespoons, but I'm going to start with 1 full tablespoon, maybe just a little bit more. I'm going to start with just let's just do a little teeny bit more. And we're going to need some water. And we already did our lemon. And we're going to just add water for the consistency, but let's get it going. Now, I'm not going to add any salt to this, and often what I do to bring up the flavor is sometimes I'll add a little cayenne, sometimes I'll add a little lemon zest, because you'll need to bring up that flavor. And I really like my bean dip really smooth, but it's up to you how much you blend it.
Carole,
I'm loving the color so much. I know, Wendy, you guys can't really see it from there. I am going to take it off in 1 minute to show you. It's
Carole,
like,
while you're taking that off, we've got a couple of questions that have built up. Is this a good time?
Yes, it's a great time, Wendy. Feel free to ask anytime, because we're doing so much ad-libbing today that I don't feel like there's a stop and a start.
Great. By the way, that does look wonderful. So a couple of these, did you use sweetener in your hibiscus tea? And if you don't, and someone wants a sweetener, what do you usually use?
Okay, I don't use a sweetener because I don't want to be drinking sugar. Like if I'm drinking this cocktail like 4 times, like in a given afternoon, I don't want to keep drinking sugar. So I never add sugar. If you're a person that, especially if you come from the South, where they put a cup of sugar in every pitcher of tea, you have to wean yourself off of that slowly but surely. So if you are a person that just has to have some sugar, what would I do? I soak medjool dates a lot to make the paste, Wendy, that we use in a lot of different things. And when I pour that water out after we've soaked the dates, that is very sugary water. And so if you were a person that really needed to use sugar, I would do that water. I would add that water to the tea, or just add a little bit of that, because it literally is like liquid sugar.
Yeah. And you could still add, Annette, just as I mentioned in the chat, just a little bit of date paste, because the date paste will still have some of the fiber. But like Carol, I
Yes,
generally
you
don't
could.
use it.
But I
Carol,
think it's most important that you learn and you can do it. I used to drink a teaspoon in my coffee ages ago. You know, like I was that person that couldn't have a cup of coffee without the milk and the teaspoon of sugar. And I'm telling you, you can wean yourself off of it. It takes maybe a little, just like weaning yourself off the salt or the oil. It does take a little bit of time, a little bit of discipline. But I'm telling you, the great thing about drinking a little drink like this is it has no caffeine, it has no sugar. It has just fresh things.
all good. Do you peel your chickpeas when you're making your hummus?
Never,
Okay,
never, never, never. Never.
great.
I do when I'm making, if you're making your own chickpeas, I will suggest when you're making hummus and chickpeas that you put like a teaspoon of soda in your water, because that will really break down and almost the skins kind of come off, but you don't, it just kind of makes them kind of collapse a little bit. And that is, I learned that from Autumn Lange. He's a very well-known, British chef, and he does put soda into the water, and it's amazing what it does to it makes the hummus like incredibly creamy.
You mean baking soda?
Baking soda, sorry, yes, baking
That's
soda.
fine. Otherwise, you'll have people putting Pepsi or Coke in the
No, soda, just baking soda. Like
Okay,
a
great.
teaspoon.
How many peppers do you roast, and how many peppers do you put in the bean dip?
I put what I thought was equivalent to one.
Okay,
Now, I made several peppers, and in order to get them into the jar, you can put them whole. Sometimes when you buy these kind of peppers, it literally comes out whole, like whole from the jar. I end up segmenting mine because most peppers have 3 or 4 segments. So I roughly grabbed 4 segments.
and do you find that's perfect? Do you find a taste difference between the jar and the homemade peppers?
No, not really. Honestly, you could do the jar if you find the jar that has the least amount of sodium in it, because it will have a little bit of salt in it. This has a little bit of salt. So I tend to stay away from these, but I do have them as backup because I don't always have roasted peppers.
Super. And do you know if the recipe for the PCRM, Dana, this is Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. They have a website where sometimes they post recipes. Carol, since you mentioned the irresistible black bean dip, do you know if that's on their website, or is that only in the classes?
It's not a black bean dip, just so you
Oh.
know, it's a white bean dip. That's why I was saying it was similar to what we were using today. And it is absolutely on their website. And
Great.
you literally could Google irresistible bean dip and it probably will come up. But it's better to do Physicians PCRM, irresistible bean dip, because it's theirs. So, and it will come right up. I go to it all the time, and I'm not kidding you. I use it all the time.
That's awesome. And Jim, thanks for posting it. We have a
Well, Jim will know it because he's probably made it too 50 times.
yes,
Because
exactly.
it's so yummy.
The questions for right now, but yeah, keep the questions.
Okay, we're almost done because we need to move on because I
Yep.
have a long,
Good.
I want to do a lot of things, Wendy. And,
Yes, I know.
And we have a lot of questions and it's good. So I wanted to taste this, okay? And I'm just gonna, I've kind of made this up roughly. And what am I tasting for? I'm tasting for all the ingredients. Does it have enough hummus? Does it have a garlic flavor? Does it have a lemon flavor? It tastes very good, actually. I think that it could just use a teeny bit more garlic. I'm going to put just a teeny bit more in. Okay. Remember I told you that I used 1 teaspoon, which I thought was approximately 1 clove, but I've probably put in a little bit more. And I think it's really nice. And I really want to put some lemon zest in there. I really want to do that because we are not using salt. And I think that the way often to kind of bring all this up, and I could put a little cumin. I think cumin would be delicious. So we're going to do
Great.
that. We're going to put just lemon zest here. I'm literally just using zest here like this. We'll go back to that. I'm going to put a little cumin, and you're going to all want to know how much is a little cumin. I know you're going to want that to know. So let's just, I already have a half a teaspoon. So let's just put about a half a teaspoon. I think that will be really, really nice. And I took it out because I thought, oh, this might be really nice because cumin is nice in a hummus. So, and we need to build up the flavor. I think we probably are right there. It's not as smooth as I would like it, but I think I just have not pureed. Oh my gosh, it's super yummy now. Now it's super yummy.
Do you have a preference between yellow cumin or black cumin?
No, I don't, but I just used regular cumin today.
Okay, the black cumin may have turn the color.
But I just use, and it could maybe even just use a hair more. Maybe we need heaping teaspoon, half a teaspoon. I'm putting just a teeny bit more paprika, just a little bit. Again, it's all a matter of one's taste. Sometimes garlic is very pungent, and maybe you would only need the 1 teaspoon, the 1 clove. Sometimes not. This is what I'm talking about, is when you're making a recipe, 1, you have to make it to your own liking, and 2, you have to taste for what is it that you're looking for? Because this dip, what am I going to do with this dip? And why do I think it's important to have a dip in your refrigerator for the week? I think it's important because I come home a lot and feel starving. I come home in the middle of the day, actually, and I want lunch. And I often just take one of those Ezekiel tortillas, or sometimes I take some bread, just depends. And I usually put a spread, and then I pile it high with cucumbers or lettuce and vegetables. And I just make myself a sandwich. So having a spread is kind of just a nice thing for a sandwich. And then there are those times when you just want the spread for an afternoon snack. With just a bunch of carrots and celery and jicama or whatever your choice of vegetables are for your snacking, this is what you would want. So that is why I think it's really nice just to have always in your refrigerator. Just like I always stress to you, it's important to have a dressing ready to go so that when you make that salad, you're not having to make the dressing too. It's all just boom, boom, boom. Make the salad, cut the lettuce, cut cut all the things. And if you're someone like Wendy who already has the cut things, look at, if I were to make a salad just right now, I have pickled onions already cut. I have already some roasted red peppers that just need cutting. I have a cucumber here that would just need cutting. I'm almost done with the salad. I have some scallion here if I wanted. I have some grains that are made. So I'm just saying, if you have some basic things in the refrigerator, this is very, very important for setting yourself up. So Wendy, are there any other questions? Because we are going to move on. I'm putting this beautiful dip in my little tiny pumpkin, my pumpkin that's red, and I'm putting a red dip in. And it's going to just go right into the fridge. And it's going to disappear in a few days. It looks like a lot, and I'm only a single person, but this will go away in a few days.
Carol, we don't have any questions, but you and I discussed the picture that's on this book, and this is probably the extreme of a very, very, very well prepped fridge. The theme today, if you're just joining us, is kind of eating out of your fridge, and the point is having things ready to go. And Carol is just describing the bean dip, which is a little bit, well, it's a staple for you, isn't it, Carol? You'll just have that in the house so you can have it
because I
quickly.
like spreading things. I like putting spread on things. So for me, it's a staple, and it's also a snacking thing. You know, if I go to the fridge in the afternoon and I'm looking and staring at the fridge, what am I gonna? I want to eat something and I don't know what it is, and so I don't go off the deep end and eat like a jar full of Turkish apricots or a jar full of raisins or almonds or, you know, something. It's not that those things are bad for you. It's just that they're maybe high in fat or high in calories. I try to look for the healthiest snack in the refrigerator. And so I'll have the dip and I'll just have maybe even some cut carrots already that are, I maybe have a container, of cut carrots. And as you say, that picture takes it to the extreme level. I'm probably in the middle of that level. I'm not, that is a picture for a magazine, and also for people that are like beyond, I don't know, like just so organized and ready to go for everything. And if you can be that person, that's awesome. I'm not that person all the time, but I do think it is important. And I do want to say that you can get containers to have your celery, all, but whatever you get should be stackable. A long time ago, I learned that having round containers isn't so great. I try to always have things that are square or rectangular. So when you're stacking, like in the refrigerator here, I can't show you this so well. Well, I can just come over here, but you want stackable things, right? I have 3 cooked sweet potatoes, and then I have a container full of snap peas, and I have another container of purple snap peas. Okay, so this is going to be for some Asian meal at some point. And you want things that are rectangular.
And I think it's good.
Or square, so that the round containers waste space in the fridge sometimes.
I also think it's good to mention that's very much a staged picture. It's from a book by Kristen Hong, but that is a staged picture. So it's sort of the ideal to go for. I think she might keep her fridge that way, but I don't think either one of us in real life, which is what this show is about. This is more documentary than not in terms of what real life.
Well, I
everyday
also
cooking looks
think,
like.
Wendy, I think it's a process, right?
Yeah.
And it's an evolution. And I think that for, at least I can speak for myself, and I think I could speak for you, having worked in your kitchen and been in
Yes.
your refrigerator, and so much been in your refrigerator. It is over time, you are figuring things out and you are getting better at it. Just like you were getting better at making things for yourself, you were getting better at your organization, you were getting better at shopping. It is a constant learning experience, right? And some people are so organized, and I'm one of those people, but I'm not like on the far end, right? So I do a really good job, but I'm not that, like, I'm not ready for a magazine shoot.
Correct.
And some people have to just learn how to start collecting things for their refrigerator. You could be at the beginning part of learning, what do I even buy? What do I need to have in my refrigerator? And that everybody has to be at a starting place. Okay, so it's not bad to be at a starting place, but I'm just saying that in order to have a healthy lifestyle and to eat whole food, plant-based, it's not that you have to refill your refrigerator so it's bursting out, but you do have to do some work at the beginning, which is good, careful shopping. Because once you've got the things in the house, then you're almost halfway there. You don't have to be a fantastic cook. You have to be a good shopper. And I have Wendy, and I have another friend here and being a good shopper is a really, I think it deserves a star. It's an amazing thing. So we're moving on. Does anyone have any other questions? Because time is going away. I could cook like this for 5 hours. We're not together for 5 hours, and I want to get
Carol,
to.
we're ready to move on. You could keep it moving.
Okay, fantastic. So I think the next thing that we're going to make is, it's summertime, it's salad time. I don't want to turn on the oven as often. I don't feel like turning on the oven as much as I can. So we're just going to make a very quick salad, and I think it's going to be quick. I'm going to try to do it quick only because we don't have anything prepped. But I'm going to get the little heating element on right now. My little cocktail's in the way here, and I'm sure I'll need some of these other things. We're going to make what is similar to a tabbouleh salad. Tabbouleh is usually a cracked wheat, which is a grain, and it's made with lots of cucumbers and tomatoes and lemon, and obviously olive oil normally, but we're not going to make it with the olive oil, and then a ton of parsley. But today we're going to make what I call a green tabbouleh. And you're going to see why I call it a green tabbouleh. One, I think I mentioned earlier, I have so much celery that I don't know what came over me. And I do want to tell you that over here, when I'm cooking, I usually have 2 bowls going. These are small bowls. I'm just going to put them here for this very moment. I have a bowl of just what I call compost tea bag from this morning, cauliflower ends, roasted red pepper skins, whatever it is. That's all kind of junky compost things. And those of you that are composting, more power to you. And I think in New York now it's a requirement of every building. Is that true, Wendy? Is it a requirement? I think it is. I think every building now has a brown box.
Yes, in New York, it is a requirement. It's by law in New York City, you have to compost.
Yeah, I think it's a great law to have. Anyway, and then at the same time, I have a bowl of junky things. I also have a bowl that I'm going to save for my broth. And what is that? I'm always talking about broth and making your own broth. And those basic items are usually celery, onions, tomatoes, sometimes mushrooms. And that's, I keep us a bag full of that in the freezer. So I have a bowl of what will be stock things. That would be tomatoes or celery, or if I peeled carrots, and then the junky compost. Okay, so I just kind of want you to know. Now we're gonna start this salad off. I guess I need a bowl. It's a little foggy here, I realize. And we're making up a tabbouleh that's going to be a green salad. Literally. So I'm starting with celery. And why are we having celery? Because I have so much of it, and I think it will make a very, very nice crunchy tabbouleh. Is it normal in tabbouleh? No. But it's okay. Nothing I do here today in this tabbouleh is going to be normal. It's going to be almost inspired by tabbouleh, but it's not going to be the classic tabbouleh that everyone knows, a Middle Eastern yummy dish. So I want to get rid of this celery, and I have so much of it. I don't know what came over me. I bought 2 stalks thinking I was out of one, and now I have so much. So you're going to ask for amounts, and I don't really know amounts, but we'll get a measuring cup. We will get a measuring cup, and we'll just roughly figure it out all together. So if you're not writing things down, then you could come back to the show and just watch the show. So it looks like I made exactly 1 cup of small diced celery. Okay, we'll start there. Okay, and this is pretty much how your recipes that you get from me, if I'm not using them from somebody else, this is how things start. You start somewhere, and then maybe it's going to need more celery, maybe it's not. Now we're going to make this, the other thing besides the celery that I really have to use up is this cauliflower. It's starting to have some brown bits on it, which is a little bit aggravating because it kind of got pushed to the back of my fridge, and I eat so much cauliflower, but somehow this thing got ignored. So what I'm going to do is rice this cauliflower. And the point of me doing this today really is, one, to use the cauliflower, but two, to just show you how to do it. Now I know for a fact, so this is the junky part, right? The junky part is going in the compost and in the, what I call compost. So I'm just making little florets, and you can buy already riced cauliflower for sure at the Trader Joe's, and you probably could buy it at the Whole Foods and almost any freezer section. Even I've seen it in our big supermarket stores, riced cauliflower. So you don't have to do the process. If you're one of those people that want to take shortcuts and just buy the frozen riced cauliflower, go do it. Just do it. Frozen vegetables are actually quite good for you. And I have a bunch of them in the freezer in case I'm ever out of something that I really need. So this is going in the food processor, and I'm just going to pulse it, and it's going to go into crumbs, and it's going to look like rice. You don't want to do it too much. You want it into crumbs, but not too crumby. Maybe one or two more pulses will be perfect. Okay, I think it's perfect. What does that mean? Perfect? It looks like that. I don't think you can see the crumbs, but it's crumbs. Now, if you use this riced cauliflower, there's so many things you could do with it. We could talk about just riced cauliflower, a whole demo, but we're not going to do that. Some recipes say you can use it raw. We could use it right this minute, just like this. But I tend to like it cooked just a teeny bit. Just a teeny bit. So I have a pan that's already hot. I have a little teeny bit of water that's bubbling away. And I'm literally going to cook it for, I don't know, a few seconds. Few minutes, actually. Just a very short few minutes. Now I've got a lot of, that half a cauliflower probably gave me, I'm going to say 2 cups. That's a lot from a small cauliflower. Imagine if you had a big cauliflower. Now we could put this tabbouleh is going to have garlic in it. And if you're sensitive to some raw garlic, you could cook the garlic with the cauliflower if you like. But we're not going to do that. We're going to add the garlic later. Okay? So I want to tell you that we're also going to put a grain in the salad, because I want grain and a vegetable. And I almost always have some kind of grain cooked in the refrigerator. Again, just like I almost always have a bean ready to go in the refrigerator, I almost always have some kind of grain. What does that a grain mean? It means it could be just cooked French lentils, cooked mung beans. It could be cooked quinoa, could be cooked barley, it could be cooked farro, there are endless things, but I kind of use it throughout the week. I love a spoonful of cooked quinoa in my oatmeal in the morning. So that is my main reason for always almost having quinoa, is because I love to have it in my oatmeal. I also love having it on a couple spoonfuls on a green salad. So again, just nice to already have made the quinoa, and then it's in your refrigerator ready to go. Okay. Yes, you've had to prep it at some point, but it's super great to have it. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm kind of making this up as we go along. I think this cauliflower is done. It's just been cooking in a little bit of water, right, this whole time. Just a teeny bit. I'm basically taking the edge off of it being crunchy. Now this salad could be made of just the quinoa and the vegetables and things, the celery and the fresh herbs, or I'm going to have cauliflower and quinoa. So let's get the cauliflower. Remember, we had 1 cup of celery, and I think we're probably going to use equal amounts of we're going to use equal amounts of quinoa to the cauliflower, just so it's kind of balanced. And I think we have almost 2 cups. That was 1 cup of quinoa there. And I think this is 2 cups. I'm just looking at it and I'm just roughing it out. And again, doesn't have to be exact. We're just making a salad. The only reason I'm measuring it is for all of you. Okay? I would never be if this was just me in the kitchen by myself, I would never be measuring this. I would just be like, okay, that's how much cauliflower I made into rice cauliflower. I better use that much. And that would be it. But I'm measuring it out because I know all of you probably want to know, how much is she doing? How much is she doing? And I want to, so it's almost a cup, not quite, but pretty close. So I'm doing 1 cup and 1 cup of quinoa. It's already looking beautiful. It's already beautiful. Now I want to have equal amounts. I decided early, remember I mentioned that we're going to have equal amounts of quinoa and equal amounts of cauliflower rice. Then we're calling this like a green tabbouleh. We're going to have to put a lot of greens in it. It's got the celery. And we don't even know if it has enough celery, but hopefully it's going to have enough celery. Okay, so this is just going to go back in the fridge right this minute because we're done with it. Just going right in there. Okay, and then we're going to, this is already looking delicious because it's got vegetables. This is ready to eat this minute, just like this, but we're going to make it a little more tasty. So I have some cucumbers. Again, things are going to take a little bit longer today. We're not going to maybe get to as many dishes as we normally do, or maybe even that as hopeful as I normally am, because there's nothing prepped. We just took things out of the fridge. So I'm going to slice this cucumber here, right? And I'm going to make it small dice. So I'm slicing it into little strips that look like this, right? Strips. And then I want to have a lot of celery, a lot of cucumber. And this is very tender cucumber, not big seeds. If you have a cucumber that's kind of overgrown and has big seeds, you might want to take a spoon and just take all the seeds out, right? If you want. Now we're going to have to put garlic in here for sure. And we're also going to put onions. Now, I do have a container full of chopped red onions. That's another thing I kind of like doing ahead of time. Wendy, I'm not sure if you do that ahead of time in your little bento box. Do you do chopped onions? I don't remember.
No, actually I do. I usually have chopped garlic, chopped ginger, and chopped onions in jars ready to go because I use those things daily.
Yeah, and do you do the chopped red onions or you do just the scallions?
I do both. I have a jar of
Yes.
scallions in right now, but I need to chop red onions.
Yeah, like I have a container here. Why it's on my mind is I have a container of red onions.
Yeah.
And we could use those in this salad for sure. It'll be really pretty. It'll be red and it'll be very pretty. And I have them already cut. And I'm really tempted to use them because
Right.
I have them. But at the same time, I kind of promised us that we were making a big green salad. And to
Yes.
make a big green salad means that we need to have scallions.
Yep.
Right? I mean, the red wouldn't be bad, but we probably need lots more cucumber, maybe 1 or 2 more, but it's starting to come together, as you can see. Again, it needs 1 more. I'm going to just slice this very fast. Again, I have still 1 more thing I want to get to with all of you, and time is going to go fast. So maybe what will happen is next demo we have is maybe I'll just finish my ideas that I have with actual written down recipes. But I really wanted to make some pesto today. It's summertime and basil is in abundance, and I wanted to serve it over zucchini zoodles. But I'm looking at the clock and we might not get to it, but it's okay. You know, we are doing an experimental show today. Look at this onion. Do you see how
Amazing.
long it is? It is taller.
I know.
It is so tall. I was telling Wendy at the beginning of class that that I save all these ends, these little roots, these tiny roots, and you put it in the dirt just like this with the roots into the dirt, and out comes. It takes so little time, and you get a scallion. It's amazing. And the green part is so delicious. Now, if I had to squeeze the, I could show you. I'm going to show you something because I do this in real time in my real life. This processor just had the what do you call it, cauliflower in it. It's not washed. Okay, and we don't have a lot of time, and usually I don't have a lot of time when I'm cooking. So I am just going to rough chop these, and all this is going to go right into the food processor. So instead of me sitting here cutting it with you, because I want it to be green, right? And I'm going to get another onion, because I think 2 onions are going to be good. And we're just going to pulse it, and it's not going to be as pretty chopped as my hand. It's kind of going to end up more mushy, not like when you're dicing things. But for this purpose, it's actually just fine. It really is. And we could even put our herbs in here at this exact time. I think I'm going to do that. So we're going to use a little cilantro, just to kind of going to grab a bunch. This has already been washed. I'm going to put, how much cilantro am I going to put in? I'm going to put in a big handful, okay? I know everybody wants to know how much, and it's hard to tell you how much. And then I have Italian parsley. Again, this is a green salad. And oh my gosh, I forgot that we have a lot of mint. My friend Sherry, she gives me all this really nice fresh mint. And this does need to come off of its stems. So we're just going to peel that. So it's going to have mint, it's going to have cilantro, and it's going to have fresh mint. Mint, parsley, and cilantro. And if you had dill, I would encourage you to put dill. I am growing some dill in the garden, but it is not ready yet. And I'm always wishing I was in New York, because in New York I used to buy dill in the most gigantic bunch, and sometimes I'd have to split it with a friend because it was so big. But here, in where I buy my fresh herbs, you can only get it in these little teeny packages, and it's kind of a frustrating thing. These stems are compostable. They're also really good if you stem basil or you stem something like mint. You could put this inside your rice when it's cooking, and it will become very aromatic and very delicious. So look, I have so much herbs, and we are not bothering to chop anything by hand just to save some time, okay? And that is going to go in here, and we're going to pulse it. Okay. And this is really how I sometimes do things, because I do run out of time, and I don't, even in my own life, sometimes don't want to be a slave to the cutting board. Okay, those are good enough. It's all good enough. And why is that kind of chopping okay here? Because the idea is for flavor and color. And I'm not worried about how it's chopped. I'm just worried it's not pulverized, but it's chopped. And the whole idea is we're making a big, nice, flavorful, really lots of herbs. And we talk about this all the time in our demos, that when you're not using the olive oil and the salt, and you have to bring up the flavors, the best way of doing it is one with fresh herbs, with fresh citrus, and with dry herbs. So I pretty much cleaned that out. We're going to toss this around. I probably could have used even more. Look, I thought I was making a little bit of salad, and now I have a ton of salad. I have more salad than I ever imagined, right? Like, did I want this much salad? No, but I'll have to be diligent about eating it for the next couple of days. But it's getting to be very pretty. Do you see?
It's gorgeous, Carol. And even the thinking of the herbs, I can feel like I could taste the flavor in that, because those herbs are really just make our mouth
Yeah, so we
watering.
use cilantro and parsley and mint.
Yes.
And now, could you throw a few red onions in it? Sure, if you wanted it to have some red. Could you chop a bunch of tomatoes? That would be fantastic. I actually just want this to be a green salad. I don't want it to be having bits of purple or bits of red. I'm going to taste it. Now, we didn't add any garlic. I think it needs at least 2 cloves. So I'm putting 2 big heaping teaspoons of my, what is my minced garlic, okay? Putting 2 heaping teaspoons, because that means 2 cloves of garlic, okay? Again, it's a rough estimate. Every clove of garlic is somewhat different. Now, we have this one lemon that we already zested. I have so many limes. Like, I have limes and lemons. Look at, I have this crazy container here, and it's just full of citrus. It has a million limes, has some oranges, and has some lemons, and
It's
2
beautiful.
avocados. This whole container is always in my refrigerator, full. And when it starts to run out, I just like, oh my gosh, I better go get more citrus.
So you
Okay,
leave
so
it in the refrigerator, or do you leave it
I
out?
do leave it in the refrigerator, Wendy. I find it just stays, fresher and better, and
Right.
I don't know. Now, what am I doing here? I'm actually zesting the lime. These are like little tiny golf ball size limes. They're organic. So that's good. I just bought a big gigantic bag full of them, and they weren't too expensive. I'm just zesting because the zest is going to make it very delicious. And I'm just, I don't know. Wendy, it almost is the end of time, and we didn't even get to our wonderful pesto. But maybe in July, we'll just do that, because I have it on my mind with the zoodles, and I was very excited about doing that. And we didn't use even our pickled onions, and I have so this is the thing. When you have your refrigerator full of things, your mind can just race full of things. You're just like, wow, I can do it all. I have so many, and that is what I do on a Sunday sometimes. I make a bunch of things and just,
Carol,
yes.
maybe just lift all the jars that are to your left and show what you do have in the refrigerator, because for the audience, and you do have a request, by the way, for next time. Yes, please do the pesto. So that we'll just remember to put that on the calendar
We'll
for
just
next
do
time.
that. We will do the pesto. And
But
why
it's
do I
good
have
to
one
know
So I
what's in
have
those
pickled
jars.
onions. I
Yep,
have pickled onions,
right.
and we have done that on the show many, many times. But I can remind people that I just slice the red onions, just slice them. I like red onions. And then I boil water, and pour water over the onions. And then I add some garlic, some peppercorns. You can add jalapeno, anything that flavors, dill, anything. And then it's half rice wine vinegar, half water. No sugar is in these pickled onions, okay?
Fabulous.
I have the roasted red peppers. I also have Parmesan cheese always on hand. That's a nice thing to have, just a Parmesan cheese. And we can talk about that when we do our class with the pesto, because I think pesto is such a summer thing. And I think people really miss out
Yeah.
on thinking that they can't have pesto. And there's so many variations on pesto that I guess we'll do that. And I'll make a mental note that we're going to do that that will be one of the things that we do for the next time.
Yep.
Um, it's
This is
not that I haven't done pesto, Wendy, in the 5 years that we have been on the show, but I'm all the time like kind of reinventing it anyway, and kind of coming up with something new. Now, what am I doing here while we're talking? I have these tiny little limes. I have one, so I've done 2 whole limes. Well, the limes are tiny. They're like the size of a golf ball. And then I have the 1 lemon, but I think we need 2 lemons. I really want the flavor to absorb. And this is one of those salads that would be even better tomorrow than today. Now, what I do, remember I mentioned it would be really pretty to add red if you wanted red onions, red tomatoes. What would be delicious if it was the right season, but it's not the right season, is what would be delicious is pomegranates.
Oh, yeah.
And that would be super beautiful. That would be the other red thing that one could have. Okay, so I've given this a good dosing of citrus and the zest and the garlic and all the herbs. And it might need some flavoring more than that, but I want it to be like so natural, right? That ultimately, I just want it to be like a burst of flavor. And that's what it's going to be because it has the fresh herbs.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Mm. Mm. The texture is so yummy. Because the celery is crunchy. I'm talking with my mouth full. I'm very sorry. The you can taste everything. It's perfect. It is ultimately perfect. And I just want to take away this cutting board. I know we need to finish, Wendy, and we're going to wrap it up as we speak. But we have the zucchinis for the zoodles, for the pasta. I really promise everyone I will make the note in my head that we must do next month at least pesto, and other things we'll do. But we'll do the pesto. And this salad can be served so many different ways, but I'm just going to get a little plate. Well, maybe a bigger plate. Maybe it's good to have I'm just going to make a little plate, right? And and why is it nice to have things in the refrigerator? Look, I have some leaves left of kale leaves here. I almost always have a radicchio ready to go. Why do I love radicchio? It just makes salads so special. It adds some purple. It adds a special flavor that isn't red cabbage. It's a little bit sour, a little bit bitter, but so delicious. This would be beautiful, like as just, I don't know, I'm kind of feeling it out here while I'm talking to all of you. Some of this right here, right? We'll just make a little bed of purple because it's all about presentation, right? So you could, if you had endive, you could almost make a cup. But I'm just laying this radicchio out, right? And eventually it has to get cut. But for now, I like its presentation as like just on the plate. And we are going to put our salad. And I also have some pea shoots. Pea shoots with this would be adding green, and it would be so delicious. It's not just about the green, but it's about the bottom. So I'm putting some pea shoots just to make a little bed. Look, we have a beautiful bed just of radicchio and pea shoots. What, I have both things in the refrigerator. It's really gonna be so awesome. That's what's gonna make this special. And then I'm gonna put this salad on top, right? Just like this. This is how I'm going to eat this salad almost every day this week. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. And then again, I talked about having a little red, but I'm thinking there's dark red on the bottom. And I think these little pink onions, these little pickled onions, we have onions already in the dish, so we don't need too many, but just as a garnish, I think it will change up the flavor a little bit just to have that on top, right? It's always, and then I like telling people often what is in something, right? So we could put a little bit of just a sprig of mint, a little teeny bit. This is just now, we're just decorating, right? A little bit of parsley and a piece of cilantro, which is over here. And yeah, that is kind of our made up dish right here.
Wow,
Like that's
Carol, that looks delicious and so perfect for a hot summer day or cold summer day or rainy summer day. It doesn't
Yeah,
really
and we
matter.
can't forget that we made our cocktail, our little cocktail, again, non-caffeinated, non-sweetened, right? We
Yep.
made our spread today, and yeah, it didn't get to the pesto and the noodles, and we didn't get to the Asian salad. Maybe that's what we'll do also next month, is a quick Asian rice noodle salad that I've been eating almost every day. But this is it for today. I hope everyone has enjoyed our off the cuff creations. It is the way that a lot of us mostly cook. Yes, having recipes is often great to have. To follow a recipe is great, but I think many of us open the door and say, what do I have and what am I going to make? And this was to inspire and to inspire people, and also to lay a foundation of basics of what's good to have in the refrigerator.
I think it's great, Carol. You're getting a lot of comments. Looks delicious. Judy asked if lettuce wraps would work well. I did respond yes, but I'm sure you would say
yes.
If the radicchio is too bitter, you can use lettuce or romaine or something else. So
I also think this would look beautiful, Wendy, in little endive cups.
Absolutely,
and
that
because
would be
it's all
delicious.
green. It's all about green on green for me at this moment. Although I did put purple at the bottom and pink at the top, but again, I think it will be really pretty in endive cups. And you could, to take it one step further, you could put a little bit of a spread inside the endive cup, so that when you get the salad, then you have a little bit of smushy, nice spread at the bottom.
Sounds great. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, everyone. You can, Carol, if you want, take a look at the comments where they're still coming in, and I will just quickly wrap things up.
Okay.
One, just to say thank you all for coming today, and please do check out the Plant-Powered Metro New York website. As mentioned, in terms of announcements, we have some incredible in-person events at our plant-powered plates restaurants in New York City. One I'll call your attention to is June 29th at Candle Cafe over on the east side of Manhattan. We're featuring an event called Flavors from Dora's Table. Chef Dora Ramirez is a food blogger famous for her Mexican dishes, and please join us in person. And we're going on a picnic in Brooklyn on July 1st. We're meeting at Electric Beats in Brooklyn, and that's also a plant-powered plate restaurant. We're targeting restaurants throughout the city that will have plant-powered Metro-friendly menu items and dishes. So do look on the website. We have a whole list. And for those of you tuning in from, I know, Canada and California and other places, we'll be putting the virtual events on the websites probably within the week. And one I'm familiar with is that we're doing a Better Health for Dogs event. And we're also going to be doing the first part of a 3-part series on your healthy heart to healthy heart. In fact, our producer here, Jim Spellos, will be the moderator for that, creator and moderator. So please join us for those. Our next Chef Carole show is on July 13th. And enjoy the abundance of summer vegetables. You can reach us at plantpoweredmetronewyork.org. You can reach Carole at the Veggie Vanguard. Her name spelled out at theveggievanguard.com, or on Instagram at Veggie Vanguard. And then please consider a donation to Plant Powered Metro New York. We do a lot of work, not just here on a volunteer basis, but in communities all around the area. And so your donations count a tremendous amount. And what else? You can follow us on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter. And thank you, Jim Spellos, for all your help behind the scenes. This show would just not be what it is without him. Thank you, David Bowles, and thank you to the whole Plant-Powered Metro New York team. So on behalf of Carole and myself, we're reminding you, eat your fruits and veggies and nuts and beans and seeds, and stay healthy. All right.
Come on down, step right in. Carole's Kitchen, where we begin. See what's cooking, something new. Plant-based power just for you.